thinking that I will not fall because the lady across the track said she won't have my back. Mother, oh mother, may I look in the eyes of those that don't look like me and know that I am equal just to thee? Mother, may I speak correct English and it not be said that I am speaking white and just know that it's right? Oh mother, may I be black and just know that it's all right because God created me. Mother, may I know there will be pain, but show no shame because I'm a little black girl with a dream. Mother, may I have a dream of becoming an elected black woman to a local or state office and letting other little black girls and boys know that we live in a town of Tifton and Poon is not a town spelled backwards of not fair. Mother, may I have a voice to express myself, and people say, she's a myth. Oh mother, may I live to see when people stop looking at the color of my skin or judging me from where I've been, but know where I'm going. Mother, oh mother, may I?
Be nobody's darling. Be an outcast. Take the contradictions of your life and wrap around you like a shawl. To parry stones, to keep you warm, watch them succumb to madness. With ample cheer, let them look at you and you look back with no reply. Be an outcast. Be pleased to walk alone, uncool. On lines crowded, riverbeds, with other impetuous fools. Make a merry gathering on the bank, where thousands perished for brave hurt worlds, they said. Be nobody's darling, be an outcast, qualified to live among your dead.
I am an other. I am black, and I'm marginalized in this country. And I'm here to have a conversation. But wait, you're thinking you've already heard this. A rant, a demand, an articulated, overdeveloped argument loaded with attacking language against the biased authority elite and berating the ignorant black proletariat, how they abuse their power, privilege, and prestige to keep minorities down and out of this country if possible. Just what you expected to hear, what you have heard for so long. But isn't it a shame that people like me, others not like me, but group with me, have had to keep pleading, keep explaining, and keep preaching for those undeniable rights that led our country to be built on contradicting binaries, freedom and slavery, ruthless pioneer westward domination and religious, ethnic westward expansion, inevitable immigrant nation and selective immigrant rejection, the other and the majority. Now I know what you're thinking. Mr. Other, Mr. Black man, Mr. Marginalized in this country, we already know the history. We studied the history. All right, you already know the history. A history. An unchangeable history created by all of our forefathers and mothers, some with fervent legislation and and others through forced labor. A history. I'm sorry, but in that history, there was never any conversation. If only history books could bleed more than black and white print, then we can actually hear the other gasping for breath, asking for air, begging to stop suffocating stories, shifting glories, and shafting gory details. I'm sorry, but in that history, there was never any conversation. But we are quiet no more. The other story becomes the poet's muse, dancer's passion, backdrop to an artist's brush. But I know what you're thinking. Mr. Other, Mr. Black man, Mr. Marginalized in this country, aren't you just proud to be an American? Aren't you just happy to be an American? I am proud. We are proud. They were proud. Proud to be an American. American cannot escape the stereotypical labels which underline and increase the social stratosphere in which our contemporary society exists as an American. American cannot just be me, but need to essentialize and strategize multiplicity and determine which identity is to my benefit as an American. American cannot forget how we've seen our culture ripped from the hands, minds, and stages and bleached and packaged to mass audiences as something trendy and American. American can slurp the soup from your melting pot as long as I don't sit at your table. What other is a chef tonight? Italian, Irish, Jewish, Cubano, Mexicano, Chinese, Korean, Pakistani, and everyone in between takes a turn stirring the pot before allowed to be an American. I can, and we must stand in solidarity as the other fights the others fight. The rumble and the melee from daybreak, the can't break to breathe, the others are burning at the stake just to make ends meet. And we remember the Chinese railroad workers who used their blood and broke their backs to connect the white stripes to the stars of blue. We remember the Mannies and the mommies who raised the others' kids and made the others' honey hot cake, yet sleepless nights lying awake when they're going to get to have their cake, to have and to eat it too. It's 2015. Keep your 40 acres and the mule. How about you give our kids a proper school? How about you give us a police force that isn't so cruel? How about you let me climb the corporate ladder, not the blue-collar stepping stool? How about you give us a politician who actually lives and practices the golden rule? Yes, a politician, not just a black president, because I'm no April Fool. He's just your latest and greatest power tool to make an other feel satisfied. But I refuse to shut the job because you see, I'm an educated black man, and you will see I'm part of a multicultural revolution, a fully functioning revolution, a breaking the glass ceiling, female empowerment revolution, a new generation of every color revolution, a we shall overcome revolution, a no person is illegal revolution, a hands up, don't shoot revolution, a no child is left behind revolution, and all colors are beautiful revolution.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. We are demanding an other revolution. Not just any revolution, let's bond in those other revolutions unless that is the only means necessary. Because we are tired of statistical data of the other pollution, living in a house of cultural commercial prostitution, falling victim to a broken institution. Let's make our own history. Let's be part of the conversation. Let's act. And we're part of that conversation, and we talk about action. First, let us speak. If they don't hear us, we have to speak louder. If they don't believe, we have to speak with conviction. If they don't care, we have to speak with passion. If they don't understand, we have to speak with clarity. If they don't trust us, we have to speak persuasively. If they need proof that pure equality through every framework in our society is what we want, what we want, we have to speak together, indivisibly, and show that we are finally fighting for liberty and justice for all. After we speak out, we must be brave enough to stand up tall, stand up together, stand up to them, stand up courageously, stand up, and move forward. All of us. Let's make this happen so that people like me, others not like me, but group with me, will never have to say the thing you expected me to say ever again.
fit into the social norm, like squeezing into last year's prom dress. I know girls who wore low-rise MAC eyeshadow and binge drinking. I know girls that wonder if they are disaster and sexy enough to fit in. I know girls who are flinging bombs from the musk of their skin, playing Russian roulette with death. It's never easy to accept that our bodies are fallible and flawed, but when do we draw the line? When the knife hits the skin? Isn't it the same thing as purging? Because we're so obsessed with death, some women just have more guts than others. The funny thing is, women like us don't shoot. We swallow pills, still wanting to be beautiful at the morgue. Still proceeding to put on makeup, still hoping the mortician finds us attractive. We might as well be buried with our shoes and handbags and scarves. Girls, we flirt with death every time we etch a new tally mark into our skin. I know how to split my wrist to reveal a battlefield too, but the time has come for us to reclaim our bodies. Our bodies deserve more than to be war-torn and collateral, offering this world as pathetic means to say, I only know how to exist when I am wanted. Girls like us are hardly ever wanted, you know. We're used up and we're sad and drunk and perpetually waiting by the phone for someone to pick up and tell us that we did good. Well, you did good. Try this. Take your hands over your bumpy, loved body naked. Touch yourself with purpose. Your body is the most beautiful memorial. Fathers and uncles are not claiming your knives anymore. Are not your razors. No, put the sharpness back. Lay your hands flat and feel the surface of scarred skin. I once touched a tree with charred limbs. The stump was still breathing, but the tops were just ashy remains. I wonder what it's like to come back from that, because sometimes I feel forest fires erupting from my wrist, and the smoke signals sent out are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Love your body the way your mother loves your baby feet. This is important. You are worth more than who you sleep with. You are worth more than your waistline. You are worth more than any naked body can proclaim in the shadows. You are no less valuable as a size 16 than a size 4. You are no less valuable as a 32A than a 36C. Your worth is defined by concentric circles within your wood. It is wisdom. You are a tree stump with leaves sprouting out. You are reborn.
All right.
Zachariah was in his early 80s, a rusty man, still handsome in his own way. He owned Mother's Milk, a used guitar store located in downtown New Orleans, and I ran the cash register. One day, I asked Zachariah, "Why'd you name this place Mother's Milk?" He looked at me with eyes as black and beautiful as his skin and said, "Little girl, music is as essential to the soul of a musician as Mother's Milk is to the life of a newborn baby." His eyes walked over my face as he said, "When my ancestors crossed the ocean in shackles, their songs rose from the belly of the slave ships. And when the ships docked in harbor, music followed my ancestors to the slave market. Music followed them to the auction blocks. Music followed them to the cotton fields. Music followed them as they were sold from one master to another, separated from their women, separated from their men, separated from their children. Music followed them to the mountaintop, and music follows us to this day." He cocked an eyebrow and said, "My people own the blues." And little girl, this shop is special. It's a sanctuary. a sanctuary. Someday you'll understand. One afternoon, I asked Zachariah, why do you treat these used second-hand guitars like they're alive? You whisper to them. You caress them with your hands as though they can feel and hear. Why? Listen to me, he said. These babies are more than pre-owned guitars. These babies are living, breathing instruments. These are blues guitars. He chose an old Martin from a stand, one of the most magnificent guitars ever crafted, and started strumming. He squeezed his eyes shut and hummed, and the music that flowed sounded like it was riding in on a heavenly train, or riding in from the bows of a slave ship, or riding in on the southern consonants and vowels of Martin Luther King's dream speech. He said, this blues guitar has a family tree, and every person, no matter the color of his skin, who has ever played this baby, left a piece of his own soul inside it. He closed his eyes again. The secrets inside this sixth string are waiting for somebody to discover and turn them into music. The shop was dim, and a light from a magnificent sunset was bleeding in through a crack overhead. He said to me, you be careful when you handle these instruments. He leaned in and whispered, his warm breath moving through my hair. When you scratch these guitars, they bleed. I nodded and swallowed. My heart pulsed. The place had cast a spell on me, a lovely spell that seemed to seduce me one breath at a time. Zachariah placed the guitar in the cabinet, then stared into the distance and said, my ancestors bled from the straps beat across their backs. They bled from the shackles. They bled when their children were sold. They bled from the heart, and they bled from the body, and they bled from the soul, and they bled from the spirit. And from their blood, blues, the most moving music of all time, blues, was born. I swallowed hard, feeling history, and especially his history, thumping behind me like a beating heart. And another thing, little girl, a real musician ain't gonna choose his own guitar. The guitar will choose the musician. And when it does, you'll know it. Weeks later, near closing time, a young man with caramel-colored skin, a mixture of American Indian and French and African American blood, walked into the store. Creole. The Creole said, I just want to look at your guitars. He told me that he and his brothers were forming a band. I have a dream, he said. With sarcasm wet on my tongue, I said, yeah, I hear that all the time. Everybody's got a dream these days. He walked around the store, traipsing back and forth. Yet he kept returning to the Martin guitar, as if it held some power over him, as if the guitar was calling his name. He leaned over and with one finger barely touching the sleek finish of the guitar, he held the pose and the guitar breathed. It breathed. The guitar and all its curves inhaled and exhaled. The Martin guitar breathed again. The young Creole stepped back, and the guitar strings began to move with music. The strings played a haunting tune, without human fingers, without a human touch, and the blood of slavery began to drip like tears from the neck of the guitar. The strings played until the blood of the freedom riders dripped and mixed with the blood of slaves. The guitar played until the blood of the Birmingham bombing victims dripped and mixed with the blood of the freedom riders and the blood of the slaves. It played until the blood of John F. Kennedy dripped and mixed with the blood of the freedom riders and the blood of the Birmingham bombing victims and the blood of the slaves. The strings played until the blood of Martin Luther King dripped and mixed with the blood of the freedom riders and the blood of the Birmingham bombing victims and the blood of John F. Kennedy and the blood of the slaves. The strings played until the blood of Bobby Kennedy dripped and mixed with the blood of the freedom riders and the blood of the Birmingham bombing victims and the blood of John F. Kennedy and the blood of Martin Luther King and the blood of the slaves. Music came from everywhere, haunting, spiritual, and the history of a nation swept vaporously over the hardwood floors and into every corner and crevice of mother's milk. The young man sobbed as the old blues guitar poured out its soul, its history. The guitar strings purred with blues and ended with a haunting, solitary song with no lyrics. There was no reason for lyrics. From a distance, I watched as the music ripped the young Creole man open, stitched him back together with guitar strings, and kissed his wounds. Darkness came rapidly. The Creole picked up the guitar and delivered it to the counter to pay. Goosebumps shivered up and down my flesh, over my head, down my arms and legs. My scalp tingled and my tits hardened like I was being played like a secret lover. I held the man's gaze and whispered, "Please don't scratch that guitar, mister. If you do, it will bleed to death."
All right.
I was coming. Wait just a cotton pick
taking minutes because I was coming. Because old Saguni got something to say. You see that man right there? He said women ought to be helped in the carriages, lifted over ditches, and has the best place. Well, ain't nobody ever helped me in no carriage or lifted me over no mud puddle, and I's never, has the best place. But now ain't I a woman? Look at me. Look at my arms. I have plowed and planted and lifted in the barns. No man heads me. Now ain't I a woman? Now I can work as hard and can eat as much as I am man when I can get it. And I can bear that lash as well. Now ain't I a woman? I born 13. I seen most sold into slavery. And when I cried a mother's grief, none but Jesus heard me. Now ain't I a woman? Yeah, that man right there say women ought to not have as many rights as a man, cause Christ wasn't no woman. But where your Christ come from? Where your Christ come from? He come from God and a woman. Man didn't have nothing to do with him. Now, if the first woman that God made was strong enough to turn this whole world upside down, then all of us women in here ought to be able to turn it right side up again. And you men, y'all supposed to let us. Y'all supposed to let us. Now, I's not one to forget my manners or my place. I'm obliged to y'all for hearing me. Also, Gunny ain't got but one more thing to say, and that is, ain't I a woman?
All right.
Some kings rule their kingdom sitting down, surrounded by luxury and cushions and fans. But this king stood strong, stood proud, and stood tall. When the driver told Rosa, "Move to the back of the bus," when the waiter told the students, "We don't serve your kind," when the mayor told voters, "Your vote doesn't count," and when the sheriff told marchers, "Get off our streets," using fire hoses, police dogs, and cattle prods to move them along, this king stood strong, stood proud, stood tall, speaking of peace, of love, and children hand in hand, free at last, free at last. When some yelled for violence, for angry revenge, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth, he stood his ground, preaching peace. And when some spit out hate, he stood there smiling, spreading love, until it rolled like the sea across the land, breaking down the walls, ringing the bell joyfully for freedom. Until, standing on the mountaintop, they shot him coldly, hoping to see him fall, hoping to put him away, to bring him low. But this king, even in death, even today, stands strong, stands proud, stands tall, and we remember.
Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I am a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream, and I am the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise.
I brought you out here to let you know I'm breaking up with you. I need a thug or two.
Now I understand the reason for the fuss. She brought me out here to break up with me because I wasn't thuggish enough. I guess it's time for me to write an apologetic letter to let her know that I wish she finds better. Apology. Forgive me for not being that thug brother. I mean, I only could be that good brother. You know, the compassionate lover, to show you that I love you. Forgive me for not hitting you and only hugging you, and for kissing you and not shoving you, and for holding you and not punching you. Forgive me for treating you as if you had class, and not treating you like trash, and not putting you through that glass. Oh, did I mention for not putting my foot in your...
All right.
I thought you was on that stuff when you said that I was too nice, but I guess it's those good guys who always have to pay the price. And I'm sorry that my mouth is not full of platinum and gold, and my feelings for you are not heartless and cold, and I have a ball fade instead of cornrows. And I'm sorry that the bracelet that I brought for you was worth more than the ring your ex-boyfriend stole. And I apologize that I mostly wear ties and suits instead of do-rags and boots. And I'm sorry that I try to keep the lights on instead of worrying about how much ice I got on. And I apologize that I don't bleed the block and run from the cops. I mean, I would, but my time is consumed by this 9-to-5 job I got. And I apologize I don't disown my keys and keep up with drama. And I'm terribly sorry I don't have 4 or 5 baby mama dramas. And I'm truly sorry I don't spend most of my time with my partners playing sport. And I wear 3-piece suits if I don't have to go to court. And I'm sorry my name is not caught up in he said, she said, and you heard it, and that I don't have guilty criminal charges verdicts. And I'm trying to figure it out, what it is that I've done to you for you not to like me. And please forgive me for not being in the club within my white tee. And I hope that you found it in your heart to forgive me. So please accept my sarcastic, I mean sincere apology.
That was good.
the admirable transparency of your chest. Sometimes at night relay, I watch the slaves, even they are where only you can rest, such a burden. 2, I watch you. On the sacred pew seats of the A-train lays a jar filling loose around your neck, my breath on your Adam's apple blowing in sin. I ain't never been ashamed of what we do in the dark. 3, there is something about the skin of a black man that would make a woman squeeze herself into a box of his DNA. Something about your eyes that makes me want to collect your tears for Kool-Aid. You are magic. Always magic. 4, sometimes in the middle of the week, I pretend to be your lover. The heavy of you on my chest, remove your suspenders, heels on. I wore a dress for you. I said a prayer for you. I unpinned my hair for you. I crossed my legs.
Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation.
Thank you.